Joining us on the guest line, he was supposed to be in studio, but you guys finished debate and vote on the Liability Act in the House, like 5 minutes ago? 10?
Yeah, about 5 minutes ago. We just got finished.
It was so funny during the break. I was telling Rhino, I was like, we may have to bump Trey to another day because I know he can't make it over here in time. But I completely forgot about that new advancement, the telephone. Trey Lamar, chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing okay. I appreciate y'all having me on. Glad to talk about a few things that are going on in your Mississippi legislature. A
little bit of everything. And let's mention that one just very quickly. The Back to Business Liability Assurance Act. The Senate passed their version of this legislation about an hour ago. You guys just passed this one 72-43, but then there was a motion to reconsider, right?
Yeah, and that's pretty much standard procedure. I expect that motion to reconsider to be disposed of shortly, and the bill will move along the process.
Okay, so at that point, the Senate's version is coming to you guys. Your version, once you get past this motion to reconsider, will go to the Senate. And then, do you have a thumb wrestling match to decide which one to send? How does that work?
Well, as you know the process, they'll the authors of the bill will get together, and if we can't agree on some language, it'll go to conference, and the conferees will get together and sort it out. But the general consensus is that we want to provide liability protection for businesses and schools and hospitals and other healthcare providers and various sorts, and specifically related to the pandemic and the public health emergency that we've been dealing with the last several months.
We got a lot of stuff, and we don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to kind of jump around. I apologize in advance, Trey. House Bill 1087. When are you going to set up the still behind the Capitol Dome?
Okay. House Bill 1087 has been a little bit of confusion with that, but we've taken up alcohol bills every year I've been here, and for the last 9 years, and sometimes a lot of times they don't get very far. Seems like people are scared to talk about it sometimes, but we started looking at this issue back at the beginning of this session after I became chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, which deals with all of the alcohol laws in the state. And it made sense to me to decouple, if you will, the sale of alcohol versus the possession of alcohol. And certainly there are places all over the state. I come from a dry county. I get it. I understand it. Where the citizens of that county or that area do not want alcohol being sold in their county, and they have that right. And there's a referendum process in place whereby they can vote to change that however they see fit. But at the same time, it didn't make sense to me that somebody who legally purchases alcohol, through a store, a restaurant, gas station, package store, wherever it may be, and then drives that alcohol to their home, which their home may sit in a dry county. I mean, technically speaking, that person is breaking the law. And so what we've done is we have essentially made the entire state wet for possession only. I don't know that anybody, your average person that doesn't spend a lot of time thinking about this will even know the difference. But all that means is that if you have a home or a hunting camp or something that's in a dry county, you can take your beverage of choice and take it home with you and enjoy it in your living room without being guilty of breaking the law. And so that's all it is.
Functionally, basically, what you just did, you just finally in the year 2020 overturned prohibition.
I guess that would be correct, except I want to make clear that we left it up to local control as to whether to allow the sale of alcohol in those communities. The people can still, in those particular towns and cities and counties, they can make that decision themselves through an election if that's what they want to do.
Now, of course, the session in its final days, and it turns out you've got a lot of stuff that has popped up that normally by now in a regular session, in a normal year, before we enter the mirror universe of 2020, you'd be in budget talks, and that'd be about it. That's all that would be going on. But now you have all this other legislation that is popping up left and right that you're still dealing with because of the mixed-up nature of this session, which brings us, I think, pretty neatly around to the topic of the week, and you know exactly what that is. That's the state flag of Mississippi. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I came out last week, and this is something that's been weighing heavy on my heart for several years now. And I'll say, first of all, I'm a student of our history, and I know there are several people that are in the same position I'm in. I love Mississippi's history. I love our heritage. I love learning about it, the good, the bad, and the ugly, all of it. I think it's important to know. And I'm a very, very firm believer. One of my favorite quotes is that you can't know where you're going unless you know where you've been. And with that said, I respect immensely the state's history, and in no way do I want to erase our history. Some people have said that. I think that's a terrible idea. I want nothing to do with that. To me, the flag is a different subject. To me, the flag has one purpose, and that is to unite people around a common cause. And whether you're for the flag or whether you're against the current flag, any reasonable person has to admit that the flag does not unite our people. Any recent polling indicates that there's about 50% of the people for it, 50% of the people against it, and that by its very definition means that the flag is not doing its job. It's not unifying our people. And so if the flag does not do its job, then a common sense look at it, to me, means that it needs to be fixed. And so I support changing the flag, and I support going back to our Mississippi's historic Magnolia flag, which is our original flag that was adopted back in the mid-1800s.
Well, let me ask you this, just very to the point on this. Do you support some sort of action by the legislature to put it on the ballot for this November, or do you support just the legislature changing the flag, or at least removing the one that we currently have?
Sure. No, that's a good question. So this is a question of hot debate, too. And I'll add this. 20 years ago, Governor Ronnie Musgrove led an effort to put the flag on the ballot 20 years ago. For whatever reason, I was not around at that time. I was still in college. I could vote, but I wasn't serving in the legislature at that time. Not sure why they did that. In my opinion, the legislature should have done its job then and either acted or not acted. And I'll add, in 2001, I voted to keep the flag. Prior to that time, the Mississippi legislature has always decided what the flag of the state should be. And I believe the legislators have been sent down here to do a job, and that job includes making the hard and tough decisions of this state. We are in a republic form of government, which means we elect representatives to make tough decisions for us. And I believe that the legislators should rise up and do their job. Now, if there is a majority of the legislators will only vote to send it back to a referendum to the people, then I will support that too. But ultimately, I believe that the legislators are sent down here to do a job. And the truth of the matter is we don't have a direct referendum on hardly anything. We don't make taxing decisions or any other really tough decisions, whether they be abortion or you could name a litany of decisions that are hard choices. We don't send those back to the people to decide on, because ultimately that wouldn't be in the best interest of our state. That's what legislators are elected to do, is to make tough decisions for the people they represent and make the decisions that they feel are in the best interest of the people of our state. And that's what I feel like the legislature should do.
Well, do you think, and we're up against a break, and we'll continue after the break, it's coming up here in just a second, but just very quickly, so what do you think the impetus is for going back to a referendum instead of the legislature just taking action? Do you think it's just that some folks just don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole and let somebody else deal with it?
Well, look, I'm sympathetic to the people's position on that, and I respect it and I understand it. I think the legislature and the leadership at the time 20 years ago made a mistake when they punted this to the people to decide. I feel like for whatever reason the legislature at the time chose not to do its job, and I think look back on it, I think that was a mistake. In 1894, when the current flag was put in place, the Mississippi legislature did that. In 1861, when our original flag was put in place, the legislature did that. I could tell you everything from the state tree to the state flower to the state animal, insect. We got all kinds of different state icons and a litany of them that are in our Mississippi Code, and the legislature enacted every single one of those.
And I mentioned it earlier, Trey, and we are up against the break now, but I got a bone to pick with you about that specifically. Why is the official state dirt Natchez sediment and not red clay? Somebody goofed up there.
Oh, that's a good question.
That's a referendum we need.
Yeah, look at those sections of our Mississippi Code and our current law, and you'll find all sorts of different official things that the legislature has enacted over the years.
We'll continue with Representative Trey Lamar and come back. SuperTalk Mississippi, the JT Show. Dave Hughes here. On the guest line, Representative Trey Lamar, chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. I know this will come as a huge shock to you, Trey, but the C Spire text line, as always, and as has been the case for about a week now, exploded because we started talking about the flag, and apparently you're a horrible human being.
Yeah, I've heard that a few times this week.
Yeah, I had a feeling you probably had. What's been the mixture of the response that you've gotten regarding the flag issue over there? Just rough breakdown percentage for and against.
I'll tell you, I put some information out on social media last week, and I would say the majority of people support a decision to move forward. The people who sit down and think about it and evaluate it, they understand the reasons for that, the reasons why we need to make the change and move forward. Now, there is a group that I will say straight up that I respect their position and I respect where they're coming from. And in fact, I agree with a lot of the things that they say regarding the history and heritage of the flag. As far as there are some who just support the history and they support the heritage and had grandfathers that fought under that flag and all those sorts of things. But I believe you can understand that and learn from it, and at the same time understand the reasons why the battle flag of the Army of Northern Virginia that has been co-opted by hate groups over the last 100 years does not need to be on our state flag. And I hope people will also respect my opinion on that. And there's also an element from I'm a Christian, and I cling to the statements made yesterday by the Mississippi Baptists. And my former pastor, when I was living in Jackson, Ligon Duncan, who I shared on Twitter yesterday, made an excellent statement regarding removal of the flag and a Christian worldview as to why the Mississippi flag needs to be changed, and while also embracing the Southern culture and history and heritage. And I would invite anybody to go read Ligon Duncan's statement. It's all over social media. You can find it easily, and I really can't say it any better than what he said. So I guess to answer your question, majority people have been good, and then some of the people who got on me, beat me up pretty good, I've even called to apologize over the weekend because, at the end of the day, Mississippians, myself included, are stubborn people. We don't like people from outside Mississippi telling us what to do and what we can and can't do, and I'm the same way. And if the flag is going to change, I want us to change it organically amongst our people because our people decide it's the right thing to do and for the right reasons. I don't want us to do it because some outside groups are holding a gun to our head. And so I fully understand where people are coming from with that, those sentiments and those thoughts, and I feel the same way. That's why I support changing the flag for what I feel are the right reasons. The flag does not unify our people, and as a Christian, it does. I think it's time for us as Mississippians to lay our pride aside and to deny ourselves and look out for our fellow brothers and sisters here in Mississippi.
Let me ask you this just very quickly because we only have a minute or two left. Originally, and as late as last week, it was said that the plan was for you guys to finish up the session and wrap things up this Friday. Is that happening still?
Man, I don't know how it's going to happen unless it's been a busy week, and we've got a lot of stuff, a lot of work that we still have left to do, from emergency spending money to getting out of the 2020 budget to crafting a 2021 budget to making decisions on a bond bill that will affect many parts of state government and cities and counties. Several general bills that are still out there. We just got a lot of work to do, and now we have looks like we're headed toward what may be a debate on the flag, and so going to be tough to get all that done by Friday, but we're going to try.
Well, on the bright side, you got decent odds that you will adjourn for at least a couple of days before you come back the first week of October. So you got that to look forward to, right?
I'll say this. I'm not, myself nor any other legislator is used to being in session in June. We're normally finished by about the 1st of April and back to our full-time jobs, getting caught up there and moving on to doing things with our family. I coach in Little League and baseball, and Anyway, being in session in June has made for this to be a very tough year, but that's okay. That's what I signed up for, and we're going to get through it.
Trey, we appreciate your time. Representative Trey Lamar, chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, and keep us updated on what's going on over there. Now, go get some lunch.
That's my next move of the day, is to go get some lunch. I appreciate y'all having me, and wish everybody a blessed day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Trey.